Yo, everybody, welcome back. Oh my god, dude, I fucking slammed my foot. Yeah, it's been a while since I made a video. No excuses. There are a few excuses I could use, I guess. We've been working a lot. But for the past couple of weeks, we've been moving rooms here. So I had to restructure everything. As you can see, there's no lights in the back, how it used to be. I restructured everything. In other news, I got the Rona. The Rona, it's true. The rumors are true. Yeah, I got COVID about 2 days ago. I was at work dealing, with the monkeys. I feel like this soreness to my throat, and I'm just like, I don't like that. Take a test. Test turns out positive. How in the actual fuck? What are the chances that, I get, out of all the times I get COVID, I get COVID when COVID is literally at as low as it's ever been since like the beginning of the pandemic, whatever. So now I'm trapped in my room 5-6 days, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna use this time to make some videos. I think I'm gonna start out with some reaction videos. I usually don't do political content. I'm not an expert. I have my biases, and I'll say my biases up front. I am a socialist.
Restore the working man to his rightful glory. I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board. I will saw the tables of tyranny in half.
A democratic socialist. You could maybe even consider me a Marxist, a libertarian Marxist, something like that. Right. But I figured, you know what? I'm gonna throw my bias in. If you guys like it, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what to watch and review next. We are going to watch today If Every President Took the Political Compass Test, and this is by Mr. Beat. Don't think I've ever watched any of his videos before. I've seen his name around. I decided to give it a shot because I thought the whole concept was interesting. Again, I have my biases. You'll see my biases as you're watching the video. Let's get to it. Let's see what Mr. Beat has to say.
I'm Mr. Beat. If you
Hello, Mr.
regularly
Beat.
watch this channel, it is almost certain that you know about and have probably taken the political compass test. Despite it definitely having many flaws, it remains one of the most popular websites to quickly see where one's.
So I have taken this test specifically, and I always end up somewhere right there. So somewhere, I guess, socially libertarian, economically socialist, not full-on commie, okay? I'm also not a full-on libertarian. I am not, I don't believe, in no age of consent or no drinking laws. I do still believe in some kind of law and order, just lax.
Values and beliefs fit on a political spectrum. The spectrum is based on two axes, a social one and an economic one. The social one ranges from authoritarianism/fascism to anarchy. The economic one ranges from collectivism/communism to libertarianism/liberalism.
I find it funny that you have on the social scale libertarian all the way in the bottom, aka anarchy, and then you also have libertarianism on the far right, economically. The fact that they call it libertarianism or liberalism kind of showcases that people just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. In a sense, they're saying libertarian with the markets being free. There's no control over the markets. I get that, but it's just reword it, man. They use other words. It makes it confusing for people.
Liberalism. Two of my biggest criticisms of the political compass test are, number one, that issues don't always all fall neatly into just two spectrums, okay?
I agree.
There's a lot of different spectrums. The 8 values and 9 axes tests do.
I have taken these tests, and they're actually really good because they break down, like you said, you can't just have two spectrums, They break down your progressivism on science, traditionalism versus progressivism on social standards. Whether you're a nationalist or more of a globalist person, you want to create a more global environment. There's a lot of stuff, and I just think it breaks it down a lot better.
And number 2, the questions are just not the best. They are often loaded, and you can't just give a neutral response. It lumps you into a box pretty quickly, and I get it.
Yeah, you kind of have to have a neutral response, because like some things you just don't take a side on. You're just like undecided, or like I'm somewhere in the middle. Because if you only have like slightly agree, strongly agree, slightly disagree, strongly disagree, it's just like you're picking a side. It's binary. You know, and with something so complicated, you can't make things so binary.
One reason why every time I take the quiz, I get different results. It's also a mysterious test. No one knows who exactly runs it, but apparently it was created by a New Zealand political journalist named Wayne Brittenden.
I mean, usually New Zealand's got some good stuff, man. Usually their biases are, I guess, not overextended. But yeah, you never know. It's better than nothing. Okay, like fuck it, you make one then.
Speculate that it's designed to make everyone think they lean libertarian. Okay, yeah, so the test is far from perfect, and it probably won't tell you where you really are politically, but screw it. Let's have some fun with this test, okay? I pretty much apparently am now known.
Why did he just randomly put a slow-mo there for like one word? What was that necessary editing? I don't know.
Let's say that every president in American history took the political compass test. I think I know enough about each of the presidents that I may be able to pull this off.
Sorry, I'm like out of it. I even have a light fever right now. I don't even know. I'd have to say that like I don't know that much about like presidents before like the 1900s, you know, maybe even like the late 1800s. I know a little bit, but once you like go back before like 1870, I'm kind of not that knowledgeable on like the political spectrum. I know like, you know, famous ones like Andrew Jackson and Thomas Jefferson and stuff, and like some crazy stuff that they've done. So I can have like an idea of like where I think they'd probably be, but if he's going to do more research, he's probably going to be more dependable. But we'll see. I don't think that any president should be crossing that center line to the left. Maybe like slightly, like somebody like FDR or even Teddy Roosevelt. Besides that, you know, I don't think anybody really should be crossing much left into the economic
Emperor
left.
Tiger.
Because you have to remember, post-Civil War, the entire United States just becomes a corrupt monopoly, oligopoly, whatever fucking term you want to use, is basically an oligarchy off of huge tycoons, Standard Oil Company, you know, Carnegie Steel, such stuff like that. So
Political compass test folks did release this chart, and Trump.
Let's see. Pinochet is far right, just straight dictator. It's just Hitler. How is Pinochet more authoritarian than Hitler? What the fuck does that even mean? The Saudis got to be more authoritarian than Reagan. You telling me the Saudis are on the same amount of authoritarianism as Reagan? I don't know about that, man. See, Sanders, where it has Sanders here, I would put Sanders a little bit more libertarian with his social stuff, but just about the same with his economic things. Marxism, a little too left for me. Chomsky's a little bit too libertarian for me. I'm between the two, basically, like right here somewhere. All right.
And yes, that would require that I take the political compass test 44 times, pretending I am each of the 44 presidents throughout American history. There are 62 questions on the test, and according to my calculations, that means I will be answering 2,728 questions.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You have to answer for every single specific president, meaning you have to do research on what that president did, the policy-wise, personality traits and everything. That's gonna take fucking forever, bro. This guy better get some good credit for this video.
I'm Mr. Beat. I think I already said that at the beginning of the video, but yeah. Hey, the bad news is I haven't got much sleep lately. The good news is I have the results. Hey, Ellie, could you please pull up those results?
Oh, yeah, this is just
click
success.
that right
man.
there, the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Could have just started
It's
it.
my cat. I'm still training her to help me out with these bits.
Cringe, dude. That's too cringe for me.
Some music as we run through these.
Oh, hopefully copyright doesn't strike me.
There we go.
Alright. John Adams left of this line. So far, Thomas Jefferson is the most libertarian. John Adams is the most left of center economically, but also the most authoritarian. Andrew Jackson being that far left, bro, that's how far left like Bernie is. Ugh. Yes, he is more authoritarian, so I agree with that sentiment. That is like authoritarian because fucking psychotic. But Andrew Jackson being that far left is like, what, he was fucking a social democrat? I don't know. You also have to remember that all these presidents that are now being showcased were still before, Das Kapital or the Communist Manifesto was written. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, pretty much. So, I don't know. We'll see where this goes. Huh. So this is like the first significant right for John Tyler. So Abraham Lincoln, economically left. Abraham Lincoln was a socialist, a social democrat. Look at this. I don't know about that, man. If you put him like more towards center, I'd understand. But I also did hear that Abraham Lincoln met Marx. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me on that. Or that he's read his material, because they're about the same time frame here. But again, these are all too far left. I really don't think a single president, besides like maybe FDR and like Teddy Roosevelt, was past that center line to the left. Johnson. Ulysses S. Grant. Okay, so this is where I kind of started to call bullshit. And I mean, no disrespect to Mr. Beat, but like realistically, past the Civil War, again, monopolies started popping up. The American political system was so corrupt that everything was like economically right. I mean, this is where the term laissez-faire really like started to play in, where you have monopolies swipe, just going toward the west, trains, the steel industry, the Standard Oil Company. I mean, just huge profiteering companies, and the government didn't stop them. So how would you consider, Hayes or Ulysses S. Grant left of center, social democrat? What policies did they implement to give them that position? Oh, look, come on. James Garfield is as far as left as Bernie at that point. Like, let's be real. A libertarian social democrat. That's like almost socialist, like actual socialist. I just come on, man. All these guys were center right, far right. When it comes economically, of course. I'm not pretty sure they'd probably be racist back then because, time frame and everything. Oh, you're going to give Teddy Roosevelt to be in the center, but Ulysses S. Grant and Hayes to the left of him. I don't know, man. I don't know how accurate that is. Again, this is what he thinks he knows about it. Right? Woodrow Wilson, absolutely authoritarian. I kind of agree with that sentiment. Everybody thought Woodrow Wilson is a great president. His League of Nations fell apart. He also had some crappy stuff that came out after, long after, like recently, people exposing him as being just an absolute racist, fucking dickhead. Calvin Coolidge. Okay, these do make a little sense. Herbert Hoover, that does not make sense. That dude wasn't Herbert Hoover. Hold up, let me look this up. Was an American law enforcement administrator, first director of the FBI. This dude was authoritarian as they come. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like when we go back here, let's go back like what? You put him as libertarian, slightly economically right. Like this guy, it should be up here. This guy is authoritarian. He's literally the head of the FBI, cracking down, illegally cracking down on like African Americans, on socialists. Like this guy was as disgusting as they come, right? How you gonna put? And then watch. Then he puts FDR as an authoritarian. Like he's on the authoritarian, but he puts him practically in the same place that Stalin was. Remember, Stalin was up here, and I'm not talking about authoritarianism. I'm talking about economically. They're almost right next to each other. So he's saying that FDR has an economic stance that is more closely affiliated to Stalin than it is to, I don't know, Zachary Taylor or George Washington or fucking Teddy Roosevelt. Like, let's be real here. Harry Truman. Harry Truman is a socialist, apparently. The authoritarian sector, I do agree about. But you're saying he is center left, so he's socialist. Because you have to remember, in an international scale, center is social democrat, a mixed economy. Meaning Sweden, Norway, Denmark. They're somewhere around there. Some maybe a little left of the center line, some maybe a little right. Center left on a political spectrum is just straight up socialist. Far left is like communist, like Leninist, Marxist, Stalinist, Maoist, right? Center left is like a socialist, like MLK. And I don't... You're telling me that Harry Truman was a fucking socialist. Don't make me bring up the policies that Harry Truman enacted. Get the fuck out of here, bro. John F. Kennedy. Another socialist, apparently. Bro, I wish. Lyndon B. Johnson. This guy is literally right next to Stalin. Hold up. Oh my god. Stalin, remember. Stalin was literally up here. So this guy is closer to Stalin than almost every other American president. Come on. Richard Nixon. Okay, I agree with these. Jimmy Carter. I actually agree with the Jimmy Carter one. I think you put him a little far left economically. I think he's just a little left of the center line. Dude is a fucking peanut farmer. You know, he wasn't a politician. But Ronald Reagan is far more right. Ronald Reagan implemented trickle-down economics. He was the start of what started the new conservative party, which basically wants zero taxes on corporations, right? As low as humanly possible. Not fans of the LGBTQ community. I mean, I would honestly, personally, I would stick him up like right here. Right here. George H.W. Bush, a Republican, is a social democrat. Make it make sense. Realistically speaking, come on, man. He was probably like right here. Bill Clinton. Again, Bill Clinton was way more authoritarian than that. I believe it's pretty close with like this on the economic scale. He's probably somewhere near there, probably maybe a little bit more right. I don't think he's a social democrat, so I would think he would be more like right here. Because you remember, these are the triangulation Democrats. These are the new Democrats once they saw the Republicans start winning with Ronald Reagan and the first George Bush. They're like, hey man, we are centrists. We are not the crazy Democrats on the left or the right. We are reasonable. We make compromises. So these guys were really like center right. And this is what happened with our current political system. Is just like this is how they drag this so far. The Overton window is so far to the right. But Bill Clinton, being libertarian, tell that to the millions of people incarcerated over weed and stupid other shit. I think he incarcerated more black people than any other president. It was like something in the millions of black people. But he's libertarian. George W. Bush, another one. Social Democrat economically. So he's for a mixed economy, a purely mixed half-half. Authoritarian, that's a good placement. Economically, no. Are you kidding me? He's definitely over here. I would place him maybe a little bit less economically right than Ronald Reagan. Barack Obama, oh my god. So apparently Barack Obama is like Bernie Sanders. So economically, that's not true. That's not true. Because we're heading into like socialist territory over here. Barack Obama was another triangulation Democrat. He really didn't. He saved capitalist financial institutes from collapsing in 2008 instead of just letting them fall apart, and then new banks and new stuff popping up. If he was a socialist, or if he was even a social democrat, he wouldn't have bailed those companies out. Even if they did, there would have been like terms and agreements to it. But people, what about the people that lost their homes, bro? Didn't do shit for them, right? So to say he's a socialist is just like an insult. He's somewhere there with Bill Clinton. Donald Trump. Oh God. So with the authoritarian, I don't think he's as authoritarian as people make him seem. I think that's his persona. He has done a little bit. Don't get me wrong. No, don't kill me with hate. With economic, not economic, but like releasing people out of jail, as you saw with like Kim Kardashian. So he wasn't great at all. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't like an authoritarian overlord, if that makes any sense. Economically, my dude was as far right as you can really think. I mean, the tax cut for billionaires that he did, and for corporations, dropping the corporate rate down to, what was it, like 21%? I think that's like the lowest it's ever been. This man, it's not that there wasn't, a previous input and like what's gonna happen before, with like the economy. It was already on a decline, with wealth distribution, but he exponentially just shot that up with that 21%. Don't quote me. I think it's 21% tax on corporations compared to like what it was before. Like you have to remember, under Eisenhower, it was like 90%, like 80 something percent corporate tax rate, and this is on profits. This is not on revenue, or yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't put him here. I would put him where Ronald Reagan is with authoritarianism, but I would literally just put him where Ronald Reagan is. Yeah. And Joe Biden, while we're here. Joe Biden, I think, again, somewhere where Bill Clinton was supposed to be, where Barack Obama was supposed to be. Same shit. It's just another Bill Clinton. You know what I mean? Maybe socially a little bit more libertarian than Bill Clinton was. Because Bill Clinton, they have Bill Clinton here. Bill Clinton should be like right here. I think Joe Biden would be somewhere right here. Reasonable.
So there you have it. Now, as I pretended to be different presidents taking the test, it was quite clear that some of the questions were specifically geared toward what's going on right now. Take this question. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer. product. Obviously, George Washington would have no idea what bottled water was, but imagining that he did know what bottled water was, that's how I answered the question. Here's another example.
What'd you answer it as?
No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers.
In the regards that these questions are asking for people that are living today, most people would be like, no, their first duty isn't homemakers. They're a fucking human being. They have, they have careers, they have ambitions. They want to be a homemaker, that's great, but it's like, that's not their first fucking duty. In the 1835, every single person, every single politician would have said, strongly agree, right? So you can't, you're taking a social question that's supposed to range from conservative to liberal in today's spectrum, but you're asking that to somebody 200 years ago where the spectrum, the Overton window for that question would have been so fucking far authoritarian that every single person would have been agree.
Okay, so I think many of the presidents actually would have been against not only mothers having careers, but women having careers. So yeah, that question was a particularly difficult one to answer. Most of them would likely be okay with marijuana legalization, but today that seems to be more of a left-leaning position. Here's another pattern. If
that's not true anymore, maybe when this video was made it was true, but polls now show, and this is off the top of my head, that it's like 70% of the public wants marijuana legalization. And it's over 50% of Republicans now that want marijuana legalization. And this is just a poll that I remembered off the top of my head like a year ago.
Presidents were more ideological. I tended to put strongly agree or strongly disagree more. Whereas if they were more pragmatic, I tended to put just agree or disagree more. Again, I really wish there was a neutral option. There was one big trend I just did not see coming. And I guess I was naive here, but I predicted that most of them would lean libertarian due to all of them being, American and valuing things.
Fuck no. Maybe 10% of them were libertarian. That's like being nice.
Things like a limited government and democracy. But boy, was I wrong. Most lean authoritarian. I did predict that more of them would lean to the right economically. Free markets, capitalism, and all that jazz. I think just is a big part of American culture going all the way back to the colonial era. Other surprises? Most of the left libertarian results I did not see coming, especially Bill Clinton. Also, I honestly was
because it's wrong. It's wrong. You put the wrong question in. You put the wrong answer in for the questions. Simple as that. Or the questions are so broad that it's not accounting to what he did. If you implemented like the policies and the history of that certain president's actions and lawmaking, you would notice that majority of them would be past this line, if not like 90 out of the 44. I think 42 would be past this line, right to the right economically, and 70% of them would be up here.
Very surprised to see Woodrow Wilson all the way up here.
I'm not.
Perhaps I was too biased while answering questions pretending I was him. You know what? That's probably where I should end this analysis. My own biases definitely affected the perception I had of how each president would answer these questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, by the time I got to Herbert Hoover, I probably got a little sloppy answering these questions due to fatigue. Regardless, this has been one of the most fun videos I've ever made. I don't care if I haven't got much sleep lately. But what do you think? Let me know which ones you disagree with.
I disagree with like 70% of them. Anyways, thank you for watching. Probably put a video again tomorrow since I'm just doing nothing all day anyways. Maybe I'll post another video today. Maybe I'm bored. And I hope I survive the Rona, you know. Rona. China. Alright. You guys have a great day.
This video was once again sponsored by
Shut up.
News.